Hey everyone, this is Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com. Back here with another hand history review for you guys. So today's hand was sent to me by Isusco from Spain. I hope I got that name right. As you guys can see here, he's got pocket tens on the button in a 1 cent, 2 cent cash game. This hand was played on PokerStars. So let's just jump right into the action here. So villain 3 comes in for the limp. This happens a lot, of course, in NL2 games. And as you guys know, I talk about all the time in my books and on my blog and in these videos about how we should be pouncing on that, especially in position with a wide range of hands. But in this particular spot, we have, about the 5th best hand in poker here. So of course, raising it up is going to be standard. It comes to Isusco, and that's exactly what he does. The sizing of 8 euro cents, I talked about that in the last video. I mean, you can go a little bit higher at NL2 just because there's so many just ridiculous donkeys in these games that basically will call anything. It's also the fact that at these stakes, the difference between 8 cents and 10 cents or 12 cents is literally meaningless to anybody pretty much on earth because it's just hardly even real money. But, going to 8 cents, it's okay. Anyways, so this is kind of the interesting part in the hand, or one of the interesting parts in the hand. It gets back to villain 3, and he comes in for the old limp re-raise. Now, before I say anything further, let's just jump right into the statistics. The reads that Isusco gave me for this guy. Okay, so he told me that this guy, he's only got 11 hands on him, but he is playing a VPIP of 45 with an aggression factor of 1.3. If you don't know what those stats mean, it's based on HUD data, and there'll be a link in the description below if you want to learn how to get this data on your screen. But basically, when I see a guy who's playing a 45 VPIP, that's almost half the deck, of course. It basically means he's playing 45% of hands. Now, the sample is only 11 hands, so it's still a little on the low side. And I should say that aggression factor, I don't really look at that until I have a sample of like at least 100 hands on the guy, so I don't really want to look at that one too much. But basically, I will say that when I look at these stats, so with a sample size of 11 hands, I'm saying to myself, this guy is trending towards a recreational player, but I can't be sure yet. I will actually link some more HUD stat articles in the description below, so you guys, because I don't really want to get heavy into that in this video, but basically you need to be very aware of your sample size when using your HUD stats. For VPIP and PFR in particular, I like to have about 20 hands before I can be totally sure. Be confident in what player type I'm giving somebody. So with 11 hands, we're a little over halfway there. And with other stats, I could talk about aggression factor. I really just don't even look at those with a sample this low. But basically, the way I want to approach this hand is we're thinking that this player is probably a recreational player. Now, the other clue that we had here is the limp. Now, good players typically do not limp. And, I've talked about this on my blog and my books all the time, is we're looking for all of these clues, especially with online poker. All of these clues, so it's starting to add up now with the limp, with the 45 VPIP over 11 hands. I would say there's a very good chance that this is a recreational player. Now, let's consider his actual range now, considering the actions thus far in the hand. Now, limp re-raising, let's talk about that. Well, I will say that typically limp re-raising, especially from a recreational player, is usually a strong hand. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the nuts. It doesn't mean it's aces or kings only, but I don't typically see them doing this with just some random 9-6 offsuit or something, unless they're just on total monkey tilt. It's very rare. Typically, regardless of the player type, I actually will say a limp re-raise, at which you really only see at the very lowest stakes anyways, it is usually a pretty strong hand. So I do I really would actually give this quite a bit of respect. Now, the problem here is that we are a tiny bit deep in this hand. You guys can see there this hand started with, about 110, 120 big blinds. And we also have position. We also have what is, I think, pocket tens is the 5th best hand in Hold'em. A very, very good hand, right? So I'm really not going to blame Isusco here for calling. I think that I would as well. But I do think that we need to be a little bit cautious moving forward here. I do think this player probably has a pretty reasonably strong range in this spot here. There might be a couple of hands we're flipping with, but I do think he's going to be doing this a lot with some higher overpairs also. So we do need to be careful if we flop an overpair and not, play it for stacks every single time. So let's go to the flop. Now, obviously, when you flop like that, you don't have to worry about anything anymore because you have the nuts. So let's just see what the villain does here first. So villain 3 bets out for pretty much pot. Now in a spot like this, there's really no need to raise or anything here. In fact, I really don't want to ever raise in a spot like this. I want to just call because, like we talked about before, I think that his range here is pretty strong hands in general. It's going to be over pairs and probably some hands like ace king, ace queen. And if we raise in a spot like this, obviously it's going to fold out as ace king and ace queen, which is a disaster for us. We want him to keep bluffing with those hands, maybe catch an ace or, king or queen on the turn or the river to keep him continue barreling. And of course, all of the hands that are, the pocket jacks, queens, kings, and aces, those hands are not going to be folding anyways. So there's really just no point for us to raise in a spot here. It only makes sense to call given that kind of strong range that we put him on of over pairs and strong aces. So that's exactly what a Susko does when we go to the turn. So, I mean, it's not the greatest turn in the world. Obviously, one of the over pairs that you could have, jacks did get there. He had a 2 hour to be ahead of us, but again, it's only a small part of his range. Ace king and ace queen have now picked up gut shots and an open-ender respectively. But at the end of the day, I mean, we still have middle set here. We have a very, very strong hand. There's not really a whole lot to say. I probably don't need to tell you guys that, when he goes all in here, I'm pretty much just beating him into the pot. There's no universe where I'm folding in this spot here. And I hope that for you guys that are watching, especially you guys that are, real beginners to the game, please don't be finding a fold in this spot. Don't convince yourself, oh, he's got king, queen or something like that. This is a spot where, again, guys, I am just beating this guy into the pot. You bet your $1.50 before he's even put it in there. I've already got my $1.50 on it in the middle there. So Susko does the exact same thing, and the river is fantastic for us because we fill up now. Hit a full house, and we're going to run into one of these ridiculous coolers. And these are often I get sent hands like this. And, I don't blame the person who sent it to me. Thank you, Susko, for sending me this hand. But this is one of those spots where there's nothing you can do. All the money's going in the middle. There's absolutely no reason why we should ever be finding a fold at any point ever in this hand. I think we did probably put this player on a correct range pre-flop. He's going to be on a pretty strong range generally when he does the old limp re-raise, and I think that's probably the biggest educational value of this video is for you guys that are wondering what a limp re-raise kind of means. Typically means a pretty strong hand, especially against a recreational player. I'm not surprised he showed up with this hand. You guys got to remember there's many other hands in his range, and that's kind of the theme of a lot of these hands that I review on YouTube, because most of the hands that people do send me as well are losing hands. And you just always got to remember that pocket jacks, which is really the only hand that beats us here besides pocket nines, those are just a very small part of his range here. He's clearly going to be stacking off with aces, kings, queens here. And he could be on some total airball bluff with ace king. And, from time to time, they're just going to be on monkey tilt with the 9-6 or something as well. I mean, if he has 9-6 here, maybe he thinks it's the nuts. It's potentially a recreational player, and I've talked about in previous videos how they'll just go totally crazy if they hit trips or something with a hand like that. So for all of these reasons, I think that Susko, you played the hand completely fine. I don't really think there's a whole lot else to say other than the pre-flop bit, but given that we were slightly deep stacked, you're in position, and with a hand as strong as pocket tens, I don't think I'm going to be folding pre-flop very often in a spot like that. So anyways, I'm just going to say good hand. It's just one of those spots where for me, I'm going to be basically just going broke as well. It's poker. It happens. You guys got to remember that, the rules are going to be reversed in the future. This guy's going to go broke to us. We're going to have pocket jacks. He's going to have the tens. So not really a whole lot to say. But, as always, I don't know what you guys think. Perhaps there's some of you guys out there who disagree that would have played this a different way. Would you have gotten away from this hand somehow? Do you play this differently? Let me know in the comments below as usual. And if you guys enjoy watching micro stakes poker hand reviews like this, this is the one channel on YouTube where I just stick to the micro stakes, the games that you guys are, majority of you guys are actually playing in. So if you like watching small stakes strategy videos like this, make sure you give this video a like and also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the new videos that I put out. And lastly, if you want to know the complete strategy that I use to crush these low stakes games, especially online, but also live as well, make sure you grab a copy of my free poker cheat sheet. It's called Massive Profit at the Micros. You can find it in the top link in the description below, and it is a roughly 50-page little free poker guide. You can read it in an afternoon, and that should hopefully help start turning around your results pretty quickly in these games. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. It's been Nathan Williams with BlackRain79.com.